In this video, we're going to make an app in AppSheet that has a drop-down list and also dependent drop-down list. So we'll start with basics, then we'll make it more complicated. And of course, we're going to need some Google Sheets to store the data. So you can see I have this spreadsheet. It's an empty spreadsheet. So I'm going to rename this tab. It's called Sheet 1. I'm going to double click and call this one Customers. And we'll set some columns. So as a rule of thumb, you need your first column to be ID, and then the rest of the columns is going to be whatever you want. So what I'll do here for now, I'll set this to be name, and then we'll do country, and then I'll add date. So I'm going to start with this. I'll make this bold. So now at this point, I'm going to go to Extensions, AppSheet, create an app. And that will connect that spreadsheet to our AppSheet. So again, you need to log in, do all the permissions as usual. So I'm going to give this a second. It's going to start an app for us. So now at this point, if I go on the left side here, open this data. So in this one, we got the row number. That's the row number of the spreadsheet. Doesn't matter. ID is going to be our ID. And because the name of the column is ID, it will already have this unique ID function to populate unique ID, which is fine. Now then we have name, which is, see the type is name. I'm going to change this to just text. And again, we got country, we got date. And for date, the data type is date, country is text. All that is good. You can set them required, not required as you wish. I am going to set all of these pretty much required like this. And we have today function auto-populated here to automatically basically just set the date for today. At this point, if I, for example, want this country field to be a dropdown, and by the way, before I do that, let me just save this. So you can see this is saved. If I click on this plus, it will open this form, and you can see it's just text fields to enter name and country. Now let's say country, we want this to be a dropdown list. Now, if you just want a simple dropdown list, you don't want this to be dynamic or linked to your data, you can simply just do that by going here on the left and click on this pen. And here, if I just scroll down, we're going to have this data validity. I'm going to open that. And here, I'm going to click on this. And here, we're going to set a list. So we'll start equals. We're going to create a list, open parentheses. And in parentheses, in quotes, you can do your comma separated values. So for example, for countries, I can do United States. Then I'm going to do Canada. And then if you want more, you can just keep comma separating this. So for now, I'm just going to hit save for a second. And done on this. And if I hit save on this, it's going to sync this. Now you can see we have country. And at this point, probably if you're looking at this, you're thinking, how's that a dropdown? So the way this is going to work, if you only have a couple of choices, it's just going to give you these buttons. So you can choose this or this. Now, if you have more choices at some point, it's going to convert it to a dropdown. So if I go back here to this country and open this, here, if I go back to that data validity again and open this, and I'm going to add more here. So at this point now, if I just hit save and we just hit done here, I'm going to hit save here to update this. Now this country, see, it's a dropdown because there are too many choices to just give us buttons. So this is your basic dropdown. So if you wanted to, now you can just load the app and just use the form and it's going to populate the list. Now, what I want to do, I want to make this more dynamic. So I want to basically get this drop-down list based on some data in the spreadsheet. So what I'll do, I'll go to my spreadsheet and I'm going to make another tab here. I'm going to double click and name this something. I'm going to call this, I guess, drop-down. You can call it anything you like. I'm going to call it drop-down. And as always, one of the columns should be ID, and we'll have country. So we'll do United States and Canada. And we're going to need some sort of IDs here. And IDs typically in this are text. So I'll just do something like A1, A2, doesn't matter. I'll make this bold. So now I want to grab these values from here. So to do that, we're going to go to our AppSheet. And first we need to connect to that new worksheet that we just made. So on the left here, you can see we got that customer sheet already connected. So I'm going to click on this plus. And we're going to go Google Sheets. We're going to select that same spreadsheet. And this time we want to pull this drop down, and I don't want this to be something that you can modify in this app. So I'm just going to go here and do read only. If you want it to be something you can modify in the app, you can leave it not read only. It doesn't matter. I'm going to add this table. Now we're going to see that drop down is going to show up here. So if I click here on this drop down, this is that new one. And again, ID should be automatically now our unique ID, which is great. And we have our country as text. Now, once I have connected to this, now I'm going to go back to my customers tab. And under customers tab, now I want that country to not be hard coded. So I'm going to click on this pen. And I'm going to go to data validity. And right here, I'm going to click on this. We have that hard-coded list. So I'm going to get rid of this. And instead, we're going to use select function. So select function has 3 arguments. The first one is the column name. So you have to choose which data set that comes from. So my data set, see here, I just connected to it. It's called Dropdown, which is basically the name of the sheet. And then from that, we're going to have this country column. So we want to pull the values from that column, comma. The second argument, select row, we're going to say true, comma. And then finally, the third argument is distinct only. And basically what this means is that if you have, let's say, the same country listed multiple times in that column for countries, do you want to display it only once? And that's probably what I want. So I'm going to go distinct true. Now, if you don't have any duplicates, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go true, and this will matter later on. But for this particular list, it doesn't matter that much. So I'm going to go true. I'm going to go save. And we're going to hit done. And I'm going to click save on this. So now at this point, you can see that's the list I get. United States, Canada, which is basically based on this. Now, if I go here and add one more, we go back and refresh our app. I go here and we just cancel this one out. And here I'm going to click on this refresh button. And at this point now, if I click plus to add something else, you're going to see now that's going to pull Mexico from that list too. So it's now basically automatically linked to our spreadsheet here. You can simply just modify this list, and that should modify this list of countries. I'm going to go back one on top here, and you can see we got our customers table. And because our dropdown is read-only, it doesn't really display here. Now, before I get to doing dependent dropdowns, let's just quickly open the app and see what this looks like. So here we go. If you've never done this before, you're going to have to go to your app store and install the app called AppSheet. And once you open it, you're going to have to log in using the same Google account that you basically used to build this whole thing. So I'm going to, as you can see, tap on the AppSheet, and we're going to open the app. So here we go. You can see we have the little plus icon. I'm going to tap on it. Here's our form. I'm going to type some name. Choose one of the countries. Date is auto-populated. I'm going to hit save. And that should just add that record to our spreadsheet. So very simple. If you need more context about this, you can go back and watch my video about creating a receipt app. But basically, this will allow you to then go back and tap on this. And if you want, you can click on this and modify this record. Hit save and delete the record if you have to. So that's your basically app to just modify your records. Now let's go back to our spreadsheet. It should now have that record. So here's the spreadsheet. I'm going to go to customers. And you can see there's that record. We have country Canada, John, date. So that's our basic dropdown now linked to this. Now let's make this a dependent dropdown. So to make this simple, let's first of all make a smaller list here. So I'll do another United States and this one Canada. And then let's do a few more here. And we'll add a new column. We'll call it state or region. Make this bold. That's enough for now. I'm going to get rid of this extra lines. So basically now the idea is going to be if you choose United States, we should only display regions from United States. And then for Canada, the same type of thing. So once again, we're going to go back to our app. First of all, because now we have that extra column in this dropdown, we have to get that information. So we're going to go to this dropdown and we're going to click on this refresh button, regenerate to get that extra column. And you can see now we got country and then we got state or region and both text. So we do need that region column also stored in our customers sheet. So I'll go back to our spreadsheet and we'll add region to this. And of course, we need to reconnect to this, get this column. So we'll go to our AppSheet, click on customers, click on this refresh button, regenerate. As you can see, we got our region column and that's text too. And of course, at this point, region is not going to be a dropdown. So if you click on this add, we'll still have country. That's that list that we select from, but region is just text. So now we want region to be a dependent dropdown based on your choice here. Now the first one is going to stay the same. Now for region, we're going to click here and we're going to go to data validity, click here. And once again, we're going to choose that select function. Now this time, the list that's going to show up here, it's going to be the region column from dropdown list. So we'll do dropdown and then region instead of country here, comma. And then for the select row, previously, if you remember, I did true. And true basically just meant give me everything. So now instead of that, we're going to basically do a condition. And you can see some of these examples down here that it gives me for this condition. And one of those is, for example, date is this or ID is that or something like that. Now, what we need to do, we need to make sure that country is whatever we select as a country in our form. So first of all, to make my life easy, I'm just going to grab one of these. Let's just pick this one. And right here, instead of region, this is going to be country column. So we'll switch to country. And this, instead of not equals, should be just equals. And instead of text value, which would be a hard-coded thing, we will get rid of this. And if we just open a square bracket here, if I scroll down, we're going to have this option, this row. So I'm going to point to that. We're going to go after the square bracket, do a dot, and open another square bracket. So we want to match from this row what's selected in country option, comma. And finally, distinct only, I'm going to say true again to make sure we only get unique values. Now at this point, let's just hit save and see what happens. So I'm going to go save, done. Click save here at 2. Now notice here we got our form and we got our name, we get our country, and you'll notice region doesn't even show up. Now let's just click on one of these countries. So I'm going to click United States, and you'll see as soon as I do that, then my region shows up with a list of states from United States. And again, because I have a few of them, it's going to show us the buttons. But if you have more of these, it will just show a dropdown. And the same way, if I go Canada, it should give me this list. Now for this, it couldn't fit the whole thing, so it gives me a dropdown. And that creates now our dependent dropdown. Now, let's say we want to add another level to this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and we'll go to dropdown, and I'm going to add city as another level to this. And here I'm going to go a few other cities in Texas. So I'll do Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. And then let's add a couple of more for California. And of course, let's just add some cities for Canada as well. And finally, I want to have another example where Canada has more than one city in a certain region as well. And this should be good enough. So finally, let's go connect to this new column. So I'm going to go back to my AppSheet, drop down, click this refresh, regenerate. That gives us the city column, of course. Then we need that same city column in our customers sheet so we can store the data. So I'm going to go to customers, add that column here as well. Looks like I made a mistake here. Okay, so that's that. Now let's connect to this too. So I'll go to customers. We'll refresh this, regenerate. And now we got country, region, city. Now, of course, currently we don't have city linked to anything. So we're going to have to take care of that. So I'm going to click on this pen. Once again, we go to data validity, click here, and we're going to use that select function. From dropdown data source, we're going to select now city column, comma, and here we need to show the cities that are in that country, in that region. So if I scroll down here, there should be an example of and, see this and statement. So we have two conditions instead of one. So I'm going to click on this. Now for us, it's not going to be date. One of them is going to be country. And it needs to be equal. Well, we'll set what it needs to be equal in a second. But here we also do region. And this one needs to be equal the other thing, which we'll take care of. Now, finally, after this, we're going to do a comma. And once again, we're going to do true for distinct. Now, of course, we have to update this and this. So this should be the current country selected. So we'll just get rid of this and open the bracket. Scroll down to this row. Dot. Open the bracket again. And this one is going to be the country. And then for region, we're going to get rid of this. Open a bracket. Choose this row again. Dot. open the square bracket again and choose region. Here we go. So that went over to the next line, but it's fine. So the country should be our currently selected country, and region should match the currently selected region. And we're pulling the list from city column. So with this, I'm going to save this. Done. Save again. So let's take a look. Now you can see the only thing we get is country. So if I click on the United States, we get our states. If I click on Texas, we'll get a drop-down for city, which should just list cities from Texas. Now, of course, if I go back here and go to Illinois, then we only have Chicago here, so we're going to get that. The same way, if I go to Canada, under Canada, it's going to give me different regions. So I can pick one of the regions, and then under that region, it's going to show me the cities in that region. Excellent. And that's pretty much the whole setup we need. Now let's just go ahead and maybe grab a longer list. The point being is that we should be able to update this list in Dropdown whenever we want, and it should just automatically update based on the data here. So I'm just going to copy and paste a list here. Don't need this, and we just need some unique IDs. So I'll just grab this and drag it all the way down. So as you can see, we got some options from the US, we got some from Canada, and some from Mexico. So let's go ahead and open our app and see what's going on. So here's our app. I'm just gonna pull this down to update this and sync with new stuff. And then we'll click on this plus. As you can see, here's our form. We're going to type some name. We're going to choose a country. And then in our list of regions, we should get all the states from the US in this case. So if I choose one of the states, we'll see our city dropdown. I'm going to open that. And you can see our cities from Texas. We can, of course, pick one. Or if I go back and update this to one of the other states, we got New York City here, as you can see, Illinois, we have Chicago, Florida, we have a couple of different cities in Florida, as you can see. And of course, if I go back and instead of US, I do Mexico, then we're going to have different regions of Mexico, and then cities in that region, or the same for Canada, right? And we can just make our choices, hit save. And now if we go back and look at our spreadsheet, we should see that new record. And here's our new record based on that dependent dropdown we just made. And you can see, you can just keep updating your dropdown list here. And based on that, your app is gonna update as well. Now, if you wanted to add another level, the same logic applies. You would just need to add another condition to your AND statement. And there you go. That's your app with your dependent dropdowns using AppSheet. And you should be able to use this on your iPhone or your Android. Just use AppSheet app. And that should do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Always comment about what other videos you want to see. Leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.